Hey guys, welcome to a new video on Kakuninfo, and today we talk about how you can live cheaply in Japan and save money. I'm going to focus on 5 key aspects of your life in Japan that are really important and where if you cut your expenses you can end up saving a lot. And those 5 things are housing, food, clothes, transportation, and mobile phone and electronics. And I hope if you're someone living in Japan or planning to come to Japan, this video will help you out. And if you're liking the content on my channel, do be sure to subscribe to the channel because there will be new videos like this. And let me know in the comments below what kind of videos you want to watch. So let's get to the list. So the first point is housing. How you get your house in Japan. So if you're someone planning to come to Japan, housing is really important. And there are mainly 3 ways in which you can get your house in Japan. Firstly is contacting the real estate agent in your area. The real estate agents will help you find the apartment that you want, but the main problem with here is it's going to cost the highest. The second way is talking directly to the owner of the house. In many cases you can contact the owners and in that way you can get the house. And the third way, especially for students, is getting the house from a senior from the university or living with a friend. So let's talk about the first way. If you are someone who's going to get a house with a real estate agent, the biggest problem is the cost will be really high. You'll not only pay the security deposit, the gift money, but you'll also pay the agent fee. And even though you'll get a new clean house, the problem is you'll end up paying a lot of money up front, which is a lot if you're someone trying to save up. The second option is contacting the owner directly. And although this option is limited because not many owners work directly with tenants, but if you can find one, they're really nice and you end up saving a lot. So the best way to do this is before visiting the city you are going to go to or the university, talk to the people who are there, seniors who are there, and then try to find owners of houses. And if you have a good connection, you will find the owners and you can contact them directly. And in these cases, you don't have to pay the agent fee. And in some cases, they don't even take the security deposit. So you end up paying a lot less upfront. The third way and the cheapest way for students are to take the houses of their seniors. So a lot of seniors will be graduating the same year you will be moving in. So if you find out those seniors, connect with them, you can take over the house and you just have to change the contract name. And in most cases, that changing fee is not as high as paying upfront to get a new house. And you also have the bonus of getting the furniture from that senior. So that's the most cheapest way. And if you're a student, try to contact your seniors or fellow students, and in those cases you will get a house cheaper. The second point is food. So food is an aspect of life in Japan where you might end up spending a lot if you eat out a lot. So the first thing to keep in mind in case of food is don't eat out a lot because it can get really expensive. Maybe budget the amount of money you want to spend outside and then cook the rest of your meals in your house. And if you end up cooking for yourself, you end up saving a lot of money. But the first thing that you need to consider when you're going to cook is the groceries, right? So you need to find out which stores are available near your house. And it's really important to visit each and every store because some items are cheap in one store while they're expensive in another store. So you need to find out which store has which items the cheapest. For example, for my city, Beppu, Hirose is probably the most cheapest for vegetables. So in most cases, students go there to get their daily groceries. But you need to find out which one is cheapest in your area. And also, in many cases, this kind of grocery stores, supermarkets, they have discounts on specific days of the week. A lot of people don't know this, so you have to talk with the employees and talk with local Japanese people and ask them if there are discounts, which store have discounts on which days, and you end up saving a lot because those discounts can be 50%, 20%, 80% depending on the time of the day. So find out when they have discounts and you will end up saving a lot. So remember, you need to stop eating out and you need to cook a lot at home, and when you buy your groceries, find stores that are the cheapest and also find stores that have discount. And I think you should avoid convenience stores because they are really expensive when you keep on going every day. A lot of people think that convenience store, as the name says, is really convenient, but when you go there daily, it becomes inconvenient and it can become really expensive. The third point is clothes. So when you're in Japan, you have an option to buy clothes because there are a lot of stores and you might end up spending a lot on stores like GU, Uniqlo. A lot of Japanese brands are really cheap and really high quality. But the problem is because of the amount of discounts they tend to give, and like H&M, they give on discount all the time, you end up going and buying all the time. So if you want to save money, I suggest not going to the big brands. I suggest that you go to thrift stores, because thrift stores are the place where you can get second-hand clothes at really cheap price, and you can buy a lot for the exact amount of money where you might just get a jacket from Zara. So the smart thing to do is always shop from thrift stores. Like for me, till now, I think most of my clothes are from thrift stores, because second-hand Japanese things are really good. They are really in good condition and they don't cost a lot. For me, it's really tough to get my size because I'm big, tall, but for most people, you'll get your size and you'll get things in cheap. So definitely check out the thrift stores in your area, because they will be the cheapest and they will be the ones that will help you cut costs. I also keep the receipts, because if you can calculate how much you're spending on clothes, you will actually see how much actually you don't need to spend. We end up spending too much on clothes because that's our impulse purchases. So if you can calculate the amount you spend, then you can also cut down on the expenses. But remember that shop in thrift stores. Yes, now and then if you're really craving for a brand, you can buy it, but go for thrift stores if you want to save money. The fourth point is transportation. So living in Beppu, I spend a lot of transportation because the bus fare is really high here. So depending on the city, this advice will change. But if you're from a city where the bus fares are really cheap, you can get like the monthly or yearly bus pass. That will probably cut cost. Or the train pass, because train passes really cut costs. Like I now work full time and I have to go to my job 6 days a week. So if I normally use the tickets to go, I'll end up spending around 4,000 yen a week, which will end up being like 18,000 a month. But since I get the train pass, monthly pass, I pay only 11,000. So I save 7 to 8,000 there. So just think about the frequency of which mode of transportation you use more, because if you use bus more, then get the bus pass. If you use transportation train more, then get the train pass, because trust me, the passes actually save you a lot. And the second option is getting a Gensuki, because in case of Beppu, Gensukis are really popular, and even though the upfront cost of buying the bike, getting the license might be expensive, but monthly costs vary from 5 to 6,000 yen a month, and that will help you save money on your transportation, because that's more easy and more convenient, and you get to go to more places. And the third and probably the most expensive option is getting a car. For Beppu is not that expensive, but if you're in Tokyo, you shouldn't get a car because the parking is really expensive. But what you can do is use rent a car for traveling around, because that's really cheap. But the license, getting the license is really important. So one pro tip from this section is that if you are someone planning to come to Japan, get your license from your country, come here, give the test and convert it. Because if you come here and take your license on your own, you'll end up spending more than $3,000 just for a license. So keep that in mind. Driving license can be cheap if you get it from your country, come here, give the test. But if you have to do it all over from the beginning, it's gonna cost a lot. The fifth and the final point is electronics and mobile phone. Firstly, let's talk about electronics. A lot of people ask me about buying electronics, where should I buy electronics and what brand to buy. First thing is, if you're looking for any brand that you should buy in Japan, that's Apple, because Apple is dominating the market here, and you'll get a lot more accessories, lot more products, lot more range of products and different second-hand products from Apple compared to other companies. So if you're looking for a brand that you should trust in Japan, it's Apple, because it's everywhere. Secondly, if you want to buy electronics, buying second-hand electronics is really good, because as I said before, second-hand stuff in Japan are actually in really good condition. So if you're trying to buy electronics, think about second-hand electronics, because this laptop I bought this second-hand. I bought it around like 30,000 yen, which is really cheap for a MacBook Pro. And you need to think about which electronics you need, and don't spend much, because if you actually need a brand new laptop, then by all means go and buy it. But if you're someone who just needs a laptop for studying, I don't think you need to buy a brand new laptop, because there are so many second-hand options available. So you can just buy it from the second-hand stores. And the second point is mobile phones. A lot of students end up spending too much on mobile phones. And a lot of my friends or juniors, they make this mistake. They come here, they get into 2 years contract with the Japanese companies AU, Docomo and SoftBank, and they don't end up completing their contracts because the rates are really high. So if you get a contract with one of the big three, you'll end up paying 10,000 yen a month for the phone and the SIM. So what happens is that 10,000 you have to pay every month for 2 years, and when you get the contract you don't realize how you will earn 1 year later, but you still get the contract. But the cheaper option is you get an unlocked phone from your country when you come to Japan, and you get an unlocked SIM. Like you can get Rakuten SIM, you can get UQ Mobile, you can get Y Mobile, and these SIMs will work with your phone that you bring from your country. In most cases they will work, but you should check their website because they have a list of phones that they support. And in this case you only pay 3,000 to 4,000 yen compared to 10,000 a month. You only pay 3,000 to 4,000 yen. And even if you want a brand new phone, it's better to buy unlocked, because if you get in a contract it's a big hassle. It's better to buy it up front and not buy it monthly. And in that way, if you get the SIM free phones and you get the SIMs, it's more easier and it's more cheap compared to other companies. And the big three, even though they have great services, they tend to cost a lot, especially for students. So if you're a student, you should avoid the big companies, SoftBank, AU and Docomo. And that's the list. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you got some value from the video, because those are some things that I learned throughout my 5 years in Japan, and now I'm working here, so I have the experience to know which and where and how to cut costs, because in my student life I needed to save money to pay my tuition fees after doing part-time job. So I knew how and where to cut costs, and that helped me out. So if you're someone who's in a similar path, I hope this video helps you out, because in my case I didn't have any option like this to research and find out how to do things cheaply. There were no videos available when I came to study. So I hope this helps you out, and let me know in the comments below what else should I make a video about, because your questions will help make my videos. And one of the questions I got is about financing, about how I balanced my tuition fees and my living, and I'll make a detailed video next time where I will break down my whole financial expenses during my 4-year study, and how I saved up, how I paid, and how I earned. So I hope you'll watch that video, and any video, anything related to Japan, traveling, living or studying, let me know in the comments and I'll try to help you out as much as I can. See you on the next video.